Civic long-term review. Why we're running it. Competition among family hatches is fierce. So we have 6 months to find out if the new Honda Civic is up to the task. Tire pressure japes with the Civic, October 18, 2017. The Civic's let me down. Well, sort of, and not, I should add, in any major way. Rather, the tire pressure warning light pinged on just as I joined the M25. It prompted a slow 40-mile trudge to the next service station, where the tire gauge then showed nothing to be wrong. The light has subsequently gone out of its own, pardon the pun, accord. Mileage, 3,185. Getting to grips with the Civic's design, September 20, 2017. Like or loathe the look of our Civic's edgy styling, the car certainly has its benefits in other areas. I've mentioned before how the lower stance has improved its dynamics and how the sporty driving position ups the feel-good factor inside. So does the steering. It's well weighted and geared, with a variable ratio, in fact, but not done so sharply that you'd notice, at a quick 2.14 turns from lock to lock, despite which its turning circle is a respectable 11 meters. I approve of that and also of its handling, which borders on fun, and if its road holding is no better than you might expect of a car wearing Michelin Primacy 3 tires, even in such a generous size as our 235/45 R17s, at least the whole driving experience feels like it's been engineered by someone who gives a damn. First go in the new at Honda UKPR Civic last night. Easy to see why it got 4 stars from that Wadcar. Good to drive and huge boot space. pic.twitter.com web link. Darren Moss, at Darren_Moss, June 23, 2017. However, some aspects of the new Civic's design are a little overdone. For example, it has a novel rear parcel shell. It's basically a thin sheet of fabric that can, like a roller blind, be pulled out from one end and then hooked into place at the other, or tucked away completely to provide unhindered access to the boot. You can even remove the cartridge that holds the rolled-up shell. This is good, as it looks flash in the showroom and is a dazzlingly simple idea. Only thing is, it's not strong enough to hold anything. It presumably is not very effective at stopping any noise penetrating into the interior either, although it will at least hide some of your valuables out of sight in the boot. Don't worry, though, overall, our Civic is standing up well to its short-distance commutes and high-speed thrashings, as well as large and indivisible loads in the boot and heavy-handed teenagers in the interior. There are 1 or 2 scuffs on the cheaper-looking fabrics that don't seem to have brushed out quite as easily as we'd have liked, but, overall, the quality of the interior plastics, many and varied as they are, is impressive. Added to that, all the switches feels plush and work well, the ergonomics are first-rate and the steering wheel feels good. The panel gaps, large and, occasionally uneven, I'm not so sure about. But I'm not unduly fussed. The Civic is one of the most reliable cars in its class, and that in itself is probably a better sign of quality. Mileage, 2,995. Back to the top. First world problems with the Civic, August 23, 2017. It's a pleasure to drive, this Civic. The driving position is spot on and there's lots of room for tall drivers. Rear passengers get plenty of leg room, too, but the swoopy profile restricts headroom for anyone over 6 foot. That's not a problem for my daughters, for whom, after several months in a Vauxhall Astra equipped with OnStar, the only thing lacking is an in-car Wi-Fi hotspot. Mileage, 2,895. A few telling creaks in the Civic's armor, August 16, 2017. It's good, this Civic, very good. I like it at least as much as I do the equivalent VW Golf or Audi A3. Now, I would be tempted to end this report there were I not professionally obliged to report on all the things, good or bad, that I might dig up during my tenure of this car. So I'm afraid I'll have to list some faults that I don't think will contradict my opening statement. If I wholeheartedly recommend this Civic as a car to drive and to own, it has been trouble-free so far. Unsurprisingly, I have to point out an area in which it disappoints considerably. The infotainment system is terrible. It's not just the 7.0-inch screen, prone to picking up glare. It's not just the inadequacies of the touchscreen, which often needs a second prod before stirring itself into dreadfully slow action, or the shortcut icons down one side of it, hard to locate and hit, or the awful Fisher-Price graphics. No, the single worst thing is the utterly unintuitive nature of its operation. More than once, I've lost the screen that lists your radio station options, and it has taken me days to find it again. I'm still not sure how I did it. All I know is the misery of being subjected to someone else's choice of station for days. To be honest, finding things within the sub-menus is such a faff that I no longer bother. I can find the info screen that tells me how many miles per gallon I'm doing over the course of a journey, and I have learned how to program the sat-nav. That's relatively easy. The only good thing I can say about it is it's slightly better in its responses than I remember the similar setup being in my Honda Jazz long-term test car. Don't worry, though. Unlike the Jazz, the rest of this car is great. I wish it were a fraction more economical, but that is perhaps an inevitable result of having a fairly weeny 1.0-liter engine in a large-ish car. Drive it with any vigor and you'll see as low as 25 miles per gallon. However, overall I'm getting 38.6 miles per gallon, and on one 60-mile journey from Surrey to Kent via a traffic-laden M25 it's achieved 47.1 miles per gallon. I now have just enough space left to tell you that the door mirrors don't automatically fold in when you stop and the positioning of the sockets for mobile devices annoys me. Oh, and a wine bottle in the central bin gets in the way of your gear-changing arm. Mileage, 2,495. True eco-benefit or merely a con? August 9, 2017. The Civic has one of those econ buttons that, as far as I can work out, does absolutely nothing other than illuminate an icon on the instrument panel. I'm told that it actually softens the throttle response and limits the aircon to achieve better fuel economy, but my figures seem to be the same whether the button is on or not. I'm averaging a reasonable 38.6 miles per gallon overall. Mileage, 2,250. Back to the top. Proving to be the perfect turbinite, July 26, 2017. The Civic is agile, easy to drive and a useful tool in the urban nip and tuck, as a recent trip to central London proved. But when it came to parking in a tight space on a Kensington street, I was glad that our car has a standard-issue rear-view camera, because that swooping roofline and the bar that dissects the back window do limit its rear visibility. Mileage, 1995. The Civic's beauty is in the eyes of its beholder, July 5, 2017. The Civic is proving popular here. The older people in the office want to borrow it for its practicality and fuel economy, 40 miles per gallon plus on longer runs, and the younger ones because it looks a little bit like the Type R. In fact, opinion is divided pretty much 50-50 on the question of the car's looks. I freely admit to being a convert. When I first saw it, I thought it was so ugly that it made me weep. But I've grown to like our car's fruity red bodywork and menacing black alloy wheels, and I love the length of its wheelbase and how low the car is, two factors that must contribute towards its impressive dynamics. What has caused most people to reel in surprise is when they're told that underneath its bonnet is a mere 1.0-liter three-cylinder engine. Seems I'm not the only fan of the new Civic. Pic.twitter.com web link. Mark Pearson at @MarkHirchPearson, July 26, 2017. Now, that engine has me a little divided. There is a characteristic offbeat burble at low speed that could perhaps be a little less intrusive, but to a generation brought up on the unseemly low-speed clatter of most diesels, I guess it's barely noticeable. If I were uncharitable, I could say the engine noise is drowned out at higher speeds by the road noise anyway. On top of that, the car never feels as quick as its 127 bhp suggests. Part of the blame must go to the car's curb weight. The new Civic actually weighs slightly more